The reality is that cyber is a pervasive threat, right? We're exposed at all levels, across government, across the private sector, across our very way of life. And the threat actors are fairly consistent. There are terrorist threat actors in cyber. There are cyber criminals. More money is made online in cybercrime than drug trafficking in the U.S. I mean, this is a major, major industry.
Really?
Absolutely, at least according to the FBI.
Welcome back to America's Forum. That is the president of RSA Security, Amit Yoran, on Bloomberg TV discussing our exposure to cybercrime, pointing out that these capers generate more money than drug trafficking. And according to recent estimates, $1 billion has been stolen from over 100 banks in 30 countries dating back to 2013. That is quite the heist. To discuss it, let's bring in Bentley University professor Stephen J.J. Weisman. He covers the world of cybercrime. You can read his blog at scamicide.com. Stephen, you're up there in the blizzard-bound Northeast, but none the worse for wear as you Skype in there from home. Hey, what have you heard, or who have you heard is the latest behind this cyber bank robbery?
Well, this is one of the most fascinating cyber crimes of all time, and it is still going on because although it has hit about 100 banks, and as you indicated, over the last 2 years, it's still being done, and it's moving from Russian banks were hit primarily, Japanese, Swiss. Now it's moving into Africa and Asia, and what's unique about this is cyber hackings of banks before would attack individual accounts of people and steal money from that. This was done by infiltrating the computers of the particular banks, learning all about the workings of that banks, and then using that information to have ATMs programmed to spew out money that would be picked up by cohorts and conspirators who were there to get it. Or, most interestingly, they would inflate by using the accounting system of the bank. Let's say I had an account with $1,000 there. They would inflate the amount in my account to look like it had 10,000. They would then transmit that 9,000 extra to me somewhere, which came from bank funds. So when that heist occurred, the bank account, the individual account, would look the same except for the few moments when money was artificially put in there solely by accounting and before it was sent out.
You know, amplification on this, Stephen, comes from MSNBC, as Mika Brzezinski was on Morning Joe today, making your point again, but doing it with perhaps a little more street language, I guess. Not dirty or anything, just a common observation. Let's listen to what Mika had to say on MSNBC.
The hackers then used the information to set up fake accounts and program ATMs to dispense money at precise times.
Wow.
Yeah. The target of the financial cyber attacks appear to be the banks themselves and not customers.
So since it's the banks that appear to be the target, can individuals rest easy, or is the next step tampering with individual accounts? I mean, if they've got the ability to get in there and mess with totals, aren't they going to come after individuals at some point?
They can, and they really are. This one is quite unique with the to the whole extent of it. There have been, and there still are, invasions of banks and hackings by people getting at individual accounts, and we're often at fault. I'll tell you, JD, what the most fascinating thing here is, and which hasn't really been talked about a lot. This sophisticated malware that's being used, that everyone's focusing on, and what they did after it was implanted. But here's the key thing: how it got implanted in the banks in the first place, and it's good old-fashioned spear phishing. Emails are sent to employees, lower-level employees at the banks. They click on a link that they shouldn't, and that downloads the malware, and that's where so many major hackings from Anthem to Target have occurred. And what the business world and government needs to know is they've got to do something about this entrance area. They've got to do something about employees not clicking automatically on emails. They have to be trained to check them beforehand, because the greatest malware is not of any use until you get it in.
Well, mindful of all of this, and we've got about 3 minutes remaining, is money still safe in the bank, or are we supposed to stuff it in our mattresses now?
You know, you're still probably safer having it in the bank than you are anywhere else. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to take real great precautions for cybersecurity. When we get the text message from our bank, and banks will text message us now, you don't automatically provide information because you can't be sure that it's a scammer. My motto is, trust me, you can't trust anyone. So you have to use really good passwords. Actually, passwords are passé. We've got to move beyond that to more secure authentication. That's going to be a long ways to go, but we need to do that.
Well, we will trust you, but I don't know if we can trust the report we're hearing. Some more cybersecurity news. The report is the United States government has embedded tools for surveillance and sabotage in computers and networks in several countries. I believe China, Russia, those who are our adversaries. So now are we seeing cyber warfare escalating?
We are, but actually, this was another report, I think, that came out of Kaspersky Lab, which is a security lab in Russia that does tremendous work. The United States has been doing this for a long time. This is how we took down initially the Iranian nuclear program. And we are, as much as we complain about these hackers, we are, and our security at the NSA, those people are the best in the world. They've been at it for a while. We just got caught with our hand in the cookie jar.
So now they'll change, because you look at this in Russia and China and Iran, and as the president says, Pakistan, along with Afghanistan. I mean, that's a kind of a who's who of some nations that could mean ill for us.
It is, and frankly, I support this. We have got to do this, and we have to do this in a legal manner. But for us not to be taking really good efforts at cybersecurity would be negligent on the part of our security people and our defense people and our intelligence people.
30 seconds. It's been reported that, for example, the Chinese doing these attacks. Should we launch counterattacks to take down some of their programs?
You know, that's the big question that we're always asking, because do you want to escalate that war? Frankly, I think the better thing to do is to build up our defenses. China has been essentially doing it as cyber corporate espionage, stealing secrets. So we have to learn a better way of protecting, I think, rather than attacking the Chinese companies.
Stephen J.J. Weisman. You can read his blog, Scam Aside. Of course, the good professor never scams us. Trust me, I trust him. Stephen, we always appreciate your time. Look forward to our next visit. And America's Forum will continue here on Newsmax TV following this Newsmax Now update.